Hello, everyone. Let's talk about scaling agile teams today. I get this question a lot from a lot of enterprises that we have hundreds of engineers, and how do we build an agile structure? How do we build an agile collection of agile teams and have a structure around them so that we can really scale? And if you look at um, you know tools and techniques out there, there are various things that are available. There's Scrum-of-Scrum, there's SAFe, there's large scale Scrum, which is also called less, and there are a few more. Personally, in my experience, I've had a lot of good luck with and good experience with Scrum-of-Scrum, so we're going to talk about that. Let's first talk the very basic Scrum-of-Scrum on what exactly is Scrum-of-Scrum. So if you have tens of teams and you want some level of communication between them, you want to have some kind of a structure. And it's very simple, like a very basic pyramid shaped structure here. In this case, you can see that you have all these at the bottom. You have these Scrum teams. Okay, so anywhere from 5 to 10 engineers in your teams, and they are working towards sprint goal every day, and they're holding daily Scrum within them every day. Now, what you want to do is you want to bunch together related teams here and hold a Scrum-of-Scrum. Who all comes to the Scrum-of-Scrum meeting, or who facilitates? Usually it's the Scrum Masters from these teams. They come together, and you can also have a role called Chief Scrum Lead, who can facilitate the Scrum-of-Scrum. In this example, you can see you have these 6 teams: Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Zeta, Lambda. So these 3 teams over here are conducting a Scrum-of-Scrum, and these 3 teams over on the right-hand side are conducting Scrum-of-Scrum over here. Usually the Scrum-of-Scrum meeting is held maybe once or twice a week. It depends really how big your teams are and what is the really need, how long your sprints are. It is at least you should have it once a week. And then you can also see that there's another level of Scrum-of-Scrum here where the chief Scrum leads are going all the way up to kind of discuss things even further. And this also you can have once a week or once in 2 weeks, depending on the size of your Scrum-of-Scrum teams and the Scrum teams. Now, so this gives a kind of a structure of scaling. And then the question is, what are we discussing in these Scrum-of-Scrum meetings? Very simply, every Scrum Master takes turn in answering 4 questions. Just like in daily Scrum or daily stand-up, everyone's taking turn to answer 3 questions. In this case, we have 4 questions, which are also very similar. And these questions are: first, what happened since our last meeting? Second, what are we planning to do until the next meeting? Number 3, who is waiting for us? That, any kind of work that is unfinished. And number 4, and what are we waiting for? So every Scrum Master or Scrum Lead takes turn in answering these 4 questions. And you can understand, there'll be a wealth of information that will surface from here. It's very similar to the questions that are asked in the daily stand-up. So this is a very basic structure of Scrum-of-Scrum. If you're absolutely new to Scrum and you have multiple teams, this is a structure you would want to start with. For those of you who have some experience scaling agile teams and have worked with Scrum-of-Scrum or similar structures, there are certain tips that I'm going to provide here that will certainly help you conduct better Scrum-of-Scrums. So there are 6 points that I'm trying to make here. And if you can absorb them and try to use them in some capacity, they will really help. You may already be doing some of these already. So first one, do not direct. There's a tendency of chief Scrum lead who has more experience than other Scrum leads. They have a tendency of directing things. Okay, so it's not the best management style. You want to be a leader, you want to be a facilitator, you don't want to direct. It's a hurdle for the Scrum leads to come together and discuss things. Point number 2 is bunch related teams together. Okay, if you want to find the teams that have some sort of dependencies between them, that are working on modules or software that is kind of somewhat related in your product. If you bunch together unrelated teams, what will happen is these Scrum meetings will not really be fruitful for you. Even if it means that you have to bunch 2 teams in one bunch and 4 teams in another bunch, still you want to you want to collate teams that are doing related work. Very important. Point number 3 is, for all the Scrum leads, please come prepared. Okay, this is not a typical casual meeting. It is not like daily stand-up. As you can see, Scrum Masters, you would be leading a team of at least 5 engineers or so. There's a lot of information that you'll have to collate to answer those 4 questions that we just saw. You will need information from various different engineers. You may have to look up your notes, collect all that information. Have to do that homework before you actually come to the Scrum-of-Scrum. So always encourage Scrum leads to come prepared. Number 4 is rotate chiefs. It's a very healthy practice to everybody take turns in facilitating or being the moderator of these Scrum-of-Scrum meetings. Really very healthy team building, group think exercise. Number 5 is inviting product owner. You'll be surprised how many questions or how many questions or concerns or issues that will come up in this meeting that will require a business input, a functional input from somebody who's a business analyst or a product owner. It is a very good idea to invite the product owner to these Scrum-of-Scrum meetings. And the chances are that you'll have you'll have a pretty well-defined product owner. If you're bunching the related teams together over here, the chances are you'll not have any difficulty finding that one product owner who has information about these related teams. And finally, share experiences. So this is one of the most important things I feel that are that needs to come across in kind of an advance Scrum-of-Scrum. When you're coming together as Scrum leads, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of knowledge that you're bringing together. And you want to find a way of sharing that knowledge outside of those 4 questions that are being asked. I see a lot of good information that comes out of the retro notes. So if there is a retro that one of you or Scrum leads have done recently, there'll be some finer points in there, or some very critical points that may have maybe worthwhile sharing with other Scrum leads. There could be problems that other team has solved that you are still struggling with. You want this information to surface, and this should be this flow of information that is facilitated by the Scrum of Scrum exercise. So please share those experiences. Use these 6 simple techniques to improve your Scrum of Scrum practice. And if you're new to scaling Agile teams and struggling with this idea, at least start with some basic structure, like the basic pyramid structure of Scrum. So I hope this is all useful. As usual, please, I'm very happy to take any feedback, and I hope you have a good Scrum. Thank you.